The sharp fizz of a soda can being popped open cuts through the low buzz of conversation in the New York office of Apex Solutions. Almost instantly, a sticky brown stream pours down Maya Williams' thick curls, soaking into her navy blue blouse. The cold liquid seeps unpleasantly against her skin, but the shock of it can't quite overpower the sting of humiliation. Laughter erupts, sharp, jarring, and Ben Thompson, with his mocking grin, seems to enjoy every bit of attention he is getting as the instigator. The glass walls make everything worse. There's nowhere to hide, and everyone can see exactly what happened. Instead of stepping in, co-workers just stand there, some snickering or muttering, others pulling out their phones to record the scene, as if it's just another bit of office drama for their social feeds. Maya doesn't move. She feels the soda running down, the heat burning in her cheeks, but she refuses to wipe it away. Her hands remain at her sides, perfectly still. There are no tears in her eyes. Instead, there's a steady, quiet spark, a kind of silent rebellion. Around her, the laughter only underscores how kindness and empathy have grown rare here, crowded out by routine insults and daily jabs that most have stopped even noticing. Ben steps closer, his cologne leaving a strong trail behind him, mixing with the lingering scent of spilled soda. With a smirk, he leans in just enough for Maya and a few others to hear his next words, though he speaks loudly enough to make sure everyone gets the message. He says casually that people like her, girls who grew up in Queens and went to public schools, never really belonged at a place like Apex Solutions. The dig isn't even subtle, and he tosses it out with the confidence of someone who's done this before. A scattered round of muffled laughter floats around the room, and Maya knows it is at her expense. Some people look away, uncomfortable or awkward, pretending to be scrolling on their phones or focused on their computers. But most just stay where they are, unbothered, as if this little drama happening in front of them is no different than a YouTube video filling the time until their long weekend begins. The embarrassment sits heavy in the air, but what hurts more is the silence. No one steps in. No one tells Ben to stop or says that it's not fair. The quiet from the rest of the team feels heavier than any insult, as if their lack of reaction is its own kind of agreement. Maya feels completely outnumbered and exposed, realizing that here the real challenge isn't just one loud bully, it's a culture where most people would rather look away than get involved. Maya takes a slow, steady breath, feeling the chill of the soda on her body, but refusing to let it show on her face. As Ben walks away with a smug grin, two other co-workers, Sarah Kim and Ethan Blake, step in to make the most of the moment. Sarah quickly lines up her phone for a short video, while Ethan snaps pictures, their faces lighting up as they imagine the likes and shares they'll get by turning Maya's embarrassment into a trending topic. They don't need to say much, their actions say it all. The prejudice in the room doesn't just come from mean jokes or offhand comments, it seeps into the rush they feel at exposing someone else's pain for their own entertainment. But Maya doesn't flinch or plead. Instead, she quietly grabs her phone, glancing at the faces around her without meeting anyone's eye. She types a short, cryptic message and sends it. There is a confidence in the way she moves, confusing Sarah and Ethan, who had expected her to cry or snap back. They watch, uncertain for a moment, but she just puts her phone away and straightens her damp blouse. On her wrist, her simple black watch starts its quiet countdown. No one notices, but for Maya, this is the start of something new. Exactly 15 minutes later, the private elevator at Apex Solutions gives a soft chime, and the mood in the office shifts in an instant. 3 security guards step out first, their presence enough to wipe the smirks off several faces. Behind them walks a tall, broad-shouldered man in a well-cut suit, David Coleman, the company's operations director. Usually, he's just a name on all staff emails, rarely seen outside his corner office on the top floor. Now, his sudden appearance makes everyone uneasy. The laughter that had filled the space just moments ago vanishes, replaced by tense, expectant silence. Eyes dart from Sarah and Ethan, still clutching their phones, to David's serious face. David walks straight past the desks, not stopping for anyone, making a beeline for Maya, who is calmly waiting near the window. There's concern in his voice when he greets her, but there's also a clear edge of authority. He asks if she is all right in a tone that leaves no room for her to downplay what just happened. The message is loud and clear. The pecking order in this office is changing. People who had felt untouchable are suddenly unsure, and it's obvious that whatever was acceptable before is about to be called into question. The office is frozen as people try to piece together what's really going on, and whispers start to stir. It doesn't take long before the truth comes out. David Coleman isn't just the operations director. He owns Apex Solutions, and even more surprising, he is married to Maya Williams. For months, Maya has just been another employee in a sea of faces, moving quietly through the hallways. Suddenly, all the looks of dismissal and offhand remarks make the bullies realize how badly they've misjudged her. Ben, Sarah, and Ethan look at each other and then up at David, stumbling over excuses as they try to save face. Ben starts to say it was just a joke, his voice a little shaky, and Sarah cuts in with her own nervous explanation. Ethan mumbles that it was blown out of proportion. But with David standing there, nothing they say sounds believable, and their usual bravado is gone. Their words hang in the air, weak and unconvincing. What used to be cold contempt aimed at Maya has suddenly flipped to fear. They see, maybe for the first time, that Maya was never really alone. They had overlooked her talent and authority, and now the real consequences for that are starting to sink in. Maya stands a little straighter now, her voice calm and even as she looks around at her co-workers. She explains that during the entire time she worked at Apex Solutions, she never once used her last name or connections to get ahead. She wanted to earn her place on her own terms, without relying on her relationship with David or the influence that comes with his name. Her goal was to prove, even just to herself, that she could stand on her own in a place where people could be quick to judge. For the past 6 months, Maya had been careful and patient. She kept track of every slight, every overheard snide comment, and every moment she was left out or mistreated. With her phone and her notebook, she documented every incident, attaching dates, names, and even screenshots from company chats. What others saw as weakness was actually Maya's way of staying steady and observant, watching and collecting the truth as it happened. She wasn't just putting up with it, she was building a complete record, layer by layer. Now, with everything laid out and undeniable, the strategy she used all along, hidden in plain sight, is finally clear to everyone in the room. Just as the tension in the room reaches its peak, another figure steps out of the elevator. Mark Reynolds, David's longtime attorney and a close friend of Maya's, carries a stack of thick labeled folders under his arm. Without raising his voice, Mark moves with purpose, handing out the folders to key managers and the HR director, making sure everyone has a copy. There's no drama in his actions, just quiet confidence that comes from knowing the facts are all right there. Inside each folder are printed emails, screenshots of group chats, phone recordings, and even time-stamped photos, clear as day, showing the behavior of Ben, Sarah, and Ethan over the past 6 months. As the evidence goes around, the mood shifts. Again, Ben tries to claim these things are being taken out of context, insisting it was all harmless, but his voice is shaky. Sarah says she deleted anything she posted, but the screenshots in the folder prove otherwise. Ethan mostly stares at his shoes, unable to come up with any excuse. The denials and nervous explanations die out quickly because there is simply too much proof to argue with. Everyone sees it now. Whatever control or sense of superiority Ben, Sarah, and Ethan thought they had is gone, stripped away by the facts, laid out in front of the entire office. When the murmurs start to fade, Maya steps forward again, this time with her head high and her words steady. She shares something no one else knew. During the same month she was brushed off and made the butt of jokes, she poured her energy and time into creating something that would truly matter. On nights when she felt most alone, she built a new data analysis platform, one unlike anything the company had seen before. She filed the patent in her own name, and recently, the system had been valued at several $1 million. Now the rights belong to Horizon Tech, a major player in Silicon Valley, and the deal is already making news outside the building. But Maya's announcement isn't just about personal success. She pauses, looking around the room until she has everyone's attention, and then explains that the profit from the project will fund scholarships for Black youth across California. No one expected this. Even those who doubted her the most are caught off guard, realizing that her fight was never just about herself. Maya's quiet perseverance became a tool for real change, not just for her, but for countless others who have felt left out or pushed aside. Her determination is now opening doors for the next generation. As Ben, Sarah, and Ethan scramble to win some sympathy, their pleas only meet quiet stares. The office that once went along with their jokes now sits hushed, unwilling to make eye contact. The three find themselves more alone than ever, the crowd that fueled their confidence having faded away. For a moment, it feels like no one knows what to say next. Then, quietly but firmly, Marcus from IT rises from his desk. Until now, Marcus had always kept his head down, sticking mostly to fixing bugs and keeping the network running. But now, he speaks up and says he supports Maya. Marcus explains that a toxic work culture had been eating away at the whole team, and what happened to Maya was only the most obvious example. He says he's tired of pretending nothing's wrong just because it's easier to stay quiet. Marcus gives credit to Maya's patience and strength, saying that her actions have helped everyone, not just herself. His words seem to crack the idea. One by one, other co-workers find their voices, some awkward, some brave, all echoing Marcus's support. In that moment, a new sense of unity grows. The air in the room gets lighter, and it finally feels like things are about to change for the better. With the room finally shifting towards hope and unity, Maya looks out at her colleagues and decides that what comes next matters more than just punishment. She says, instead of simply firing those responsible, the company should take the value of their remaining stock options and bonuses and put it all into the scholarship fund. Her plan is to turn something negative into a real force for good, making sure that the harm done becomes a catalyst for opportunities for others who need it most. There's a pause as everyone takes this in, and then David, her husband, and the true owner of Apex Solutions, is the first to agree. He steps in, saying this is the kind of big-picture thinking the company and the whole tech industry needs right now. Together, they reveal their next step, a comprehensive diversity and inclusion program to reach every branch of the larger group of companies under Apex Solutions. The announcement gets a bigger reaction than anything that came before, because now it is not just Maya's story anymore. The initiative will create workshops, mentoring, and new hiring practices. Maya and David make it clear that this is the start of real, lasting change. The news spreads quickly, and people across the building feel inspired, knowing they are all part of something meaningful that will help shape the future for everyone. A few weeks later, the whole team gathers in the main auditorium at the Apex Solutions campus in San Jose. The lights dim as a large screen at the front comes to life, showing a slideshow of the real evidence Maya, along with Mark and the HR team, collected over the past half year. There are emails, text exchanges, and even short audio clips of hallway conversations, all with names and dates clearly shown. As each slide appears, the quiet in the room grows heavier. Some people shift in their seats, recognizing words they said or read, moments they brushed off back then. A few are visibly embarrassed, realizing they stood by when they could have spoken up. Ben, Sarah, and Ethan sit together in the front, unable to hide. The presentation leaves no room for old excuses or claims of misunderstanding. It is undeniable. Everyone sees exactly what happened. As the last slides fade out, it feels like something old and toxic is finally being swept away. The message is clear. From now on, being a silent bystander is no longer acceptable at Apex Solutions. The company is done tolerating that kind of behavior. From this point, everyone is expected to look out for each other, making sure no one is left facing injustice alone. After the presentation wraps up and the audience sits in thoughtful silence, Maya steps forward to introduce the project that kept her going through so much hardship. She dubs her system Bridgeway, nodding to the idea of building paths where there used to be walls. Everyone in the auditorium listens carefully as Maya explains how Bridgeway combines powerful data tools with safeguards to spot and stop unfair practices before they can take root. As she clicks through examples, it's clear this is not just another tech platform. It is built using real-life insight from what she and others had to face. This tool, she says, is designed to help other companies keep workplaces fair, open, and honest. There is a wave of applause, and it keeps growing as Maya shares that all profits from Bridgeway will go directly into the new scholarship fund. That means every contract, every dollar earned, gets turned into chances for young people who might never have seen these doors open before. Colleagues, even ones who were skeptical, stand up to clap. The energy in the room is different now. Maya's plan is not just about business success or personal victory. She's focused on creating real change for those left out too long, and everyone finally sees it. As the applause for Bridgeway fades and the room settles, Ben, Sarah, and Ethan finally attempt to defend themselves. They stand up in front of everyone, their faces red, claiming that their actions were only jokes, harmless teasing with no intention to hurt anyone. Their words sound weak after everything that was just shown. The HR director, along with the legal team, steps forward with a second round of evidence. This time it is video clips and more direct messages, all clearly showing the seriousness and repeated nature of their behavior. The contrast between what the three say now and what they said in those recordings leaves no room for doubt. The crowd grows uncomfortable again. Everyone sees that what happened was not just minor jokes gone wrong. It was deliberate exclusion and discrimination that went way beyond friendly banter. The HR director states flatly that given the evidence and the effect on Maya and others, Apex Solutions has no choice but to proceed with termination for cause. On top of being fired, Ben, Sarah, and Ethan will have their actions formally documented. In their records, future employers in San Jose and beyond will see exactly what led to their dismissal. The message is loud and clear. There is no longer any room for excuses or easy second chances. With the final decision announced, security staff quietly approach Ben, Sarah, and Ethan. The three keep their heads down as they are led down the hallway, past desks where co-workers watch in silence. Each step out of the building seems to hit harder than the last, and the realization sinks in. They are leaving not just their jobs, but their reputations behind. Months of thoughtless behavior, what started as small jabs and snide comments, have now ended up costing them everything they built at Apex Solutions. The weight of those choices is clear on their faces. Side conversations spring up across the office, not with laughter or gossip, but with relief mixed with regret. Some people whisper about chances missed to speak up sooner, and others simply wonder how things might have turned out differently. Back in the main conference room, Maya sits surrounded by her team. She does not gloat or show any sign of revenge. Instead, she meets the eyes of her co-workers, steady and calm. Her quiet presence sets the tone for everyone else. Maya has proven, not just to herself but to the whole company, that it is possible to hold onto your dignity even when challenged by injustice. Her journey has turned pain into progress, reminding everyone that real strength comes from choosing to do what is right, no matter how tough it gets. The shock of what happened at Apex Solutions does not stay contained within one office or even just the company itself. News about the incident, and especially about how Maya faced things head-on, spreads across tech circles in California and quickly catches the attention of the entire public company group, Pacific Tech Holdings. Within days, the board at Pacific Tech Holdings releases a statement saying they will launch a thorough audit of every one of their subsidiaries, checking that each follows strict diversity and inclusion standards. The announcement is not just for show. They hire an outside firm to go through company cultures, review hiring practices, and interview employees anonymously. Letters go out to all partner companies, explaining that any future contracts with Pacific Tech Holdings will depend on meeting these new guidelines. They set out clear metrics and real consequences, making it obvious that they are not treating this as some optional feel-good policy. For companies all over Silicon Valley and beyond, the message lands hard. It is not enough to just quietly accept differences. They need to make active efforts to support inclusion, or they will lose important business and see their reputations suffer. Maya's story changes more than just one office. It sets off ripples that reach the whole industry. Half a year later, Turning Point, a documentary about the events at Apex Solutions, premieres at the Castro Theater in San Francisco. The opening night is buzzing with excitement as people fill the iconic venue. Business leaders, local activists, and the first students to receive scholarships from the Bridgeway Fund gather together. There is an energy of anticipation, a sense that something important is happening. The film takes the audience through Maya's journey with a mix of interviews, real footage from those tense meetings, and stories from others touched by her actions. It paints a whole picture, not just of hardship, but of how people can come together when it counts. By the end, when the credits roll, there are few dry eyes in the house. Maya is invited onto the stage to speak. Now, she is not just seen as someone who survived a rough patch at work. She's recognized as a real leader in social justice and tech innovation. Her words feel honest and powerful as she talks about her experience. Everyone listens as she reminds them that every award, every breakthrough, and each scholarship given is proof of someone's courage to resist and push forward. She says that every one of those scholarships means an open door to a better future. As the documentary continues, it does not shy away from showing what happened to those responsible for the harassment. There are interviews with people from the industry, and short clips detail how Ben, Sarah, and Ethan tried to fight the outcome in court, but none of their lawsuits succeeded. Every attempt to challenge their dismissal failed, and over time, word spread about their actions. They struggled to find steady work. Every interview ended with uncomfortable questions about the past, and most companies did not want to associate with people whose reputations were now widely known. Their efforts to explain away what happened often just made things worse. Old colleagues and new hiring managers alike found their excuses hollow, especially after the evidence came out in such a public way. The documentary spends a moment on Sarah's story in particular, showing her clocking in at a customer service desk in downtown Oakland, a job in an industry she once mocked openly with co-workers. The contrast between her present and her former arrogance is striking. Instead of moving up in tech, she now deals with the kind of work she used to joke about. This moment, simple as it is, becomes a clear reminder throughout the film of how prejudice and pride can lead to a fall that no one expects. During a quiet moment in the documentary, Maya opens up about something most people never knew. She tells the audience that just days before the harassment at Apex Solutions came to light, she had finished building an algorithm. This program could scan workplace communication and flag patterns that pointed to discrimination, subtle or direct. Maya's voice is relaxed as she explains how the painful experience at work was, in a strange way, the final test for her system. Since what happened matched the patterns the program was built to catch, she was more confident than ever about its impact. Soon after, news of the tool spread. Tech companies across the United States and then around the globe started asking about this new software. It was simple but powerful, helping HR teams spot issues before they grew out of control. Within months, hundreds of businesses adopted it as part of their culture checks. What makes Maya's journey even more inspiring is that she decided not to keep the profits. Every penny earned from licensing the algorithm was put back into the Bridgeway Scholarship Fund. This decision meant even more students, often those from underrepresented backgrounds, could get support. In this way, Maya's work fueled a positive cycle of change, turning her painful past into real progress for others. Later in the evening, the documentary features an interview with James, who has since been named Director of Tech Diversity at Pacific Tech Holdings. Sitting in his office, surrounded by reminders of the journey, James recalls what it felt like to witness injustice unfold at Apex Solutions and how important it was for him not to stay silent. He speaks plainly, saying that during tense moments, it might have seemed easier to look away or let someone else step in. But James explains that ignoring prejudice only helps it spread, and that even the smallest stand can spark a real difference in a company or a whole industry. The documentary then shifts to the awards ceremony at the Castro Theatre's grand stage, where the crowd grows quiet with anticipation. Maya's name is called for an international prize recognizing innovation in social justice. As she makes her way up, her father, an immigrant who has worked at construction sites all over the Bay Area, joins her on stage. He is wearing his best suit, but there is nothing fancy about his pride. It is just deep and honest. When he hands Maya the award, his hands tremble a little and he simply says, "You were brave." The audience, moved by the warmth and honesty, responds with a standing ovation, understanding this was more than just a professional victory. After the applause has faded and Maya has thanked her father, the film moves to scenes of the old Apex Solutions building in downtown San Francisco. The place looks different now. No longer just rows of computers and business meetings, it has been reopened as the Horizons Innovation Center, a buzzing spot where young people from overlooked neighborhoods gather daily. Instead of just learning about technology, they work together to build apps and tools aimed at fighting everyday racism and lifting up their communities. The walls, once lined with startup slogans, are now covered with artwork from local kids and inspirational quotes from Maya and other changemakers. This transformation was sparked by Maya's story, which spread so widely that it became something of a legend among youth across the Bay Area. Kids who might never have thought of themselves as tech people now believe in their own power to create change. They see how one act of standing up can open doors for many. Maya returns to the center and speaks to the latest group of students. Calm and honest, she tells them that true justice is not about getting back at anyone, but about building something better so the next person does not have to feel the same pain. Her journey becomes a symbol, showing all who listen that even the hardest moments can be turned into hope, and that in the end, what matters most is making sure every person's talent is noticed, no matter their background.